Jury selection has begun in the trial against Kim Potter. That's the Minnesota police officer charged with manslaughter in the killing of Daunte Wright in April. Potter shot and killed Wright, who was black, during a traffic stop in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, which is just outside Minneapolis. Potter claims she meant to deploy her taser, but instead she grabbed her gun, ultimately killing the 20-year-old father. Newsy Justice correspondent Jamal Andres joins us live. And Jamal, what's the latest on where this trial stands? I know jury selection did begin this morning.
Hey, good afternoon, Lindsay. Well, you know, things have been quiet here outside the courthouse, but inside the courtroom, some breaking news already. The defense revealed during jury selection, which is a little odd, that former Officer Kim Potter will be testifying in her own defense in this trial. Now, you know, that is a risky move for the defense in some cases, but an important one for a trial that has captured the nation's attention. It's been 7 months since Derek Chauvin was found guilty in the murder of George Floyd. Now, the nation turns its attention to Minneapolis again, as another white officer goes on trial for killing another unarmed black man in Minnesota. Former police officer Kim Potter faces first and second-degree manslaughter charges for shooting and killing Daunte Wright in the Minneapolis suburb of Brooklyn Center. Potter and an officer she was training pulled Wright over for a minor traffic violation, an expired plate and an air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror. After finding an outstanding warrant, officers decided to arrest him. After initially following the officer's instructions, Wright attempted to escape. That's when Potter pulled out her firearm rather than her taser and fired one fatal shot into Wright's chest. The shooting happened while Derek Chauvin was on trial for murder, setting off another round of protests in Minneapolis. Now, jury selection in Potter's trial gets underway. The jury will remain anonymous and face several questions about their views on race, the media, and last year's tumultuous protests. While activists have called for murder charges against former Officer Potter, manslaughter charges are easier to prove. Neither charge requires the jury believe Potter intended to kill Wright, but instead that she was reckless, or at least negligent, during the incident. Meanwhile, the defense has pointed to Potter's own words during the shooting to show this was an innocent mistake. In a court filing, Potter's defense attorney said, quote, "Potter had to have been aware of that risk that her taser was a gun, and then disregarded it." The Hennepin County Court has scheduled 6 days for jury selection, with opening arguments slated to start no later than December 8th. Now, so far, the judge has seated one juror and dismissed several others. In this jury selection process, the defense has 5 preemptory strikes, while the prosecution has just 3. And those strikes are going to be really important because they're the only tool that these attorneys have to get rid of a juror, no questions asked.
And Jamal, moving forward, you mentioned that Potter taking the stand is a bit of a risky move for the defense, but they are taking this innocent mistake defense. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that will play out in the courtroom?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this innocent mistake thing is very rare, obviously, and specifically the idea that a police officer who's been on the force for 26 years would pull a gun rather than a taser. Again, very rare by all accounts, but it has happened before, most notably with Oscar Grant. You know, Oscar Grant was killed in Oakland, California in 2009, and the officer involved there was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 2 years in prison. But the defense here does have a lot to lean on. First and foremost, Kim Potter's record. You know, she, again, was on the force for 26 years, an officer that trained other officers, and someone who didn't have any civilian complaints on her record and had never fired her service weapon before this incident. So we'll have to see exactly how this plays out. But a very interesting case and a very interesting defense for Kim Potter's attorneys.
Newsy Justice correspondent Jamal Andres live for us in Minneapolis.